Hello moms and dads and future moms and dads. My name is Marl and welcome to Let's Talk Baby. So Hunter was due to be born on June 2nd of 2015, and of course June 2nd rolled around and he wasn't here yet. So I was scheduled for an induction on June 10th, which was a week and a day after my due date. So I was really hoping it would go into natural labor. I had tried everything to go into labor, but he was ready to come out when he was ready. He was still baking in there. So I was gonna obviously let him be. So on Wednesday, which was the 10th, I had an appointment for 10 a.m. to go and get monitored and see if they were going to induce me, because in Canada they're not very clear about whether they're going to induce you or not. But it seemed like I was already overdue and the odds were in my favor. So on the 10th, we went into the hospital here in Toronto. We went in a town called Mississauga, and I walked into the hospital and went right to the birthing suite. I already had an appointment and they hooked me up to a non-stress test. So a non-stress test pretty much monitors the baby's heart rate, it monitors I had my blood pressure taken, and it monitors your contractions. So I was 0 centimeters dilated. I was only 50% effaced, 50 or 30% effaced, and I was posterior closed. So that means this little man did not want to come out, and it drove me nuts. So I was like, please I hope the doctor says that we're gonna induce you. So after 2 hours of being monitored, the doctor comes in and he says, all right, we're gonna induce you, but we're going to do a gel induction. He did that and he said, listen, it's this gel, it could be used up to 9 times. And if you do go into labor tonight, consider yourself extremely lucky, because usually people need to go a second, third, or fourth time. So I was like, okay. So they end up monitoring me for another hour or two, and we left the hospital for 2 hours. So I had been induced at 12:30 and they let me leave at 2, so an hour and a half. So right as they start monitoring me, I'm like, oh, I feel weird, but I'm very sarcastic and I always use humor when I'm in an uncomfortable situation. So I was getting uncomfortable, but I'm like, this is like Braxton Hicks. I don't think I'm gonna go into labor tonight. Look at my odds till now. And it's not happening. So I ended up going downstairs to the lobby when they let us leave, and I was hunching over. Like, I kid you not, I was like standing by a pole and I was in pain. So I had been doing hypnobirthing. So I started doing my breathing exercises and I was fine. I was breathing through them and I was like, this has gotta be nothing, which it was. It was nothing compared to actual labor. So I ended up going home, and by the time Steve, my husband, ended up dropping us off at my mom's house, which is about 5 minutes from my house. So he went home to walk the dog just in case I go into labor. So he grabs the dog and he brings them over to my house, or to my mom's house. And at this point I am like, Mom, I can't breathe. Like, I'm in so much pain. Why am I in so much pain? So she ended up, rubbing my back and trying to rub my feet, and I'm just doing these breathing exercises, and she's like, you're doing great. I was very quiet, very calm, but I was just in a lot of pain. So at this point, they were about 5 minutes apart, my contractions. I mean, it was happening fast. Like, it was boom, boom, boom. I was having these contractions back to back to back. So when Steve got there, I said, listen, I need to get in the bathtub because I know that it's gonna relax me, the water's gonna help. So we ended up running a little bath and I sat in the bathtub, which really helped my contraction, the pain from my contractions. I was breathing in the bathtub. I was able to move around in different positions that were more comfortable. The water was really warm and nice, and it just helped me feel so much better. So Steve was sitting by me and talking to me and rubbing my back, and the dog kept trying to jump into the bathtub, which wasn't very relaxing, but it kind of helped with, you know, it was so enjoyable being at home. I was happy that I was at my mom's house. It was comfortable. My mom was there, Steve was there. They were bringing me stuff to drink. I have low blood pressure, so they were trying to help bring me some energy up, because they knew what I was. My mom knew. She's like, this is gonna happen now. And I'm like, no. But I'm like, I can't breathe. So they told us, call the hospital at 6 and let us know how you're doing. And then once you call us at 6 with an update, you can come back at 10 p.m. to do another non-stress test. So, and see how far you've progressed. So at 6 o'clock, I'm in my mom's bed with Steve next to me, and Steve calls the hospital for me, and he's like, listen, she's in a lot of pain. And of course they said, let us talk to her. So I talked to them, but I literally could not get a word out. So Steve decided to time my contractions, and they were 30 seconds long, a minute apart. So I called the hospital. When we called the hospital, we're like, listen, this is how close they are. And the nurse was like, are you serious? You just left. And we're like, listen, this is, I don't know, like, we're close. She's like, listen, any doubts, come to the hospital. Like, that's what we're here for, right? Come to the hospital, we'll do a non-stress test. So I'm literally getting out of the bed, and I'm having contraction after contraction after contraction. Like, I can't breathe at this point. The hypnobirthing is working to help with the pain, but it's not helping. And I remember I was playing the track on my cell phone, and it was playing for about 5 minutes, and I'm like, get that crap away from me. My mom was laughing so hard. She's like, forget this hypnobirthing. But honestly, like, it did help a lot. And when you think about how I dealt with the pain, but my mom, it was just such a funny situation, because in that moment you're like, just shut up, because they're doing so much affirmation that you're just like, I already know I'm a good mother. I'm about to deliver this thing and it's destroying me. So it was pretty funny. So as I'm walking down the stairs, I literally have to stop every 3 steps. Like, it's another contraction, it's another contraction. And I had bought a birthing ball, or an exercise ball. And literally when I got to the bottom of the stairs, I just sat on it, and like all fours, I was just like pulling myself. And I grabbed the doorway, and I'm sitting in between a doorway in my mom's house, and I'm just squeezing the doorway in my head, and I'm, you know, breathing through it. And it was hilarious. Like, I'm like squatting on this ball and holding this pole, and I'm like, ah. But I wasn't really screaming. I was just like, So I ended up, finally they got me to the car, and Steve at this point, my mom is frantic. Steve is like so funny. Steve is like, okay, I got this, okay. And he like I think any color this man had was gone. He was pale. So he finally gets, Jabba, come here. So he finally gets in the car, and he throws his hazards on. I'm like, I can't breathe. My mom is in the backseat hyperventilating, and like the two like people who are usually the calmest are freaking out. But only I could really tell how badly they're freaking out, because I know them so well. So we get in the car, and Steve has his hazards on. He's like, you know, like booking it. And I was like, Steve, I feel like he's gonna fall out. And so we get to the hospital. My mom runs and grabs a wheelchair, wheels me upstairs to the birthing suite, and they look at me and they're like, oh, welcome. And I'm like, why are you so calm? Well, they do this 500 times a day. So they hook me up to the non-stress test, and they realize that my contractions are very close together. But, you know, one of the nurses comes in, she's like, oh, this is very mild. And then I was like, I can't breathe. Like, it got to a point where I was shaking. I was like I was in so much pain. So then the next nurse comes in, and she checks me, and she's like, you're 3 centimeters dilated in a matter of a couple hours. And I was like, oh man. So she goes, okay, your contractions are really close together. Let's monitor you for another 20 minutes, and we'll try checking you again. So she checks me again. She's like, you're 5 centimeters dilated. I'm like, get me that epidural, epidural. And she's just like, but you said you don't. I'm like, give me the epidural. I was like, I can't breathe. Like if this was like a minute apart, these were like 10 seconds. It was literally like, like it was horrible. I couldn't breathe. So when I started shaking, I was like, I don't want my blood pressure to drop and something to happen to him. Like I want to be, and this happened to my mom. So I was like, I don't need the same thing to happen where, you know, my mom almost died when she had me. I'm like, I need to be just calm right now. I'm like, this is too much. So they give me the epidural, and they asked Steve and my mom to leave the nurse says, you're admitted. So I'm like, great. The guy comes in and gives me the epidural, the anesthesiologist, and he's doing the epidural, and the nurse was fantastic. She was rubbing my back and holding my legs. Stay still, babe. You know, she was fantastic. And so they let Steve and my mom back in the room after we did monitoring for about 20 minutes. And she says, okay, well, I think about an hour passed at this point. And she goes, okay, let's check you. And she checks me. She goes, oh my God, you're 10 centimeters dilated. I swear to God, I didn't even hit the epidural button. I don't even know why I got this epidural. And so, like at that moment, I'm like, why did I get the epidural? I was so close. She's like, you're 10 centimeters. I'm gonna page the doctor. So the doctor comes in, he checks me. He's like, but I had like a lip, so it was like 9.5 centimeters. So they had to wait because they didn't want me to hurt they didn't want it, that had to be 10 centimeters. So my mom's like, Steve are getting ready. They're pulling the cameras out. And the doctor comes in, he's like, you're ready to go, you know, but just, it's fine, don't worry, even when you're 10 centimeters, you have to wait for the baby to come down because he hadn't really descended yet. So I'm waiting, and about an hour passes, and I'm like, I'm in so much pain. And the nurse is like, have you hit the epidural button? And I'm like, no, I thought I was gonna start pushing. I wanted to feel the pushing. And she's like, hit the epidural button. The doctor's in emergency surgery. So I hit the epidural button, and then finally, for the first time, went numb. Of course, like 10 minutes later, the doctor walks in. Or no, sorry, the nurse tells me, all right, we're gonna start some practice pushing. I'm like, okay. So Steve's on one side, my mom's on the other, and they're like, she's like, okay, push. So I push, she's like, okay, push again. So we did it through like 3 contractions, and then she's like, okay, stop. And I was like, what? She's like, he's crowning. And I was like, she's like, I'm gonna page the doctor. So the doctor comes in, and I allowed students in the room because I feel like they need to learn too, and they're under supervision of fantastic doctors, and the students that were there were extremely professional and so easy to talk to. So I actually really enjoyed having them there. I felt like it was someone I can relate to. So the doctor came, and in a matter of just a few pushes, he was out, and it was the most unbelievable experience in moments, seconds that feel like hours. And you feel like, and while I was pushing, I was laughing, I was cracking jokes. The nurses and them were all laughing at me. My mom, you know, she kept going, push, 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 push. And I'm like, what kind of dog are you trying to herd here? Like, you're trying to herd like kittens. And we were laughing so hard. And I think he just came out because I was laughing so hard. And when he came out and they put him on, I had them do skin to skin. They're a skin to skin hospital, like they fully support that. And they gave him to me, and I put him to my breast, and he latched on right away. Well, he kind of latched on. He wasn't the best at latching on. So he latched on right away, and it was just, he had his thumb in his mouth at one point, and Steve was like, you're gonna cry, because he sees the emotional side of me, but really I was like, man, I don't feel like I'm gonna cry. And then boom, I was like, oh my God, my mom's crying, Steve's crying, and the nurse is like, this is beautiful, he's beautiful. And it was just the most unbelievable experience of my life. It was an unbelievable experience. So if you guys are getting ready to go into labor, or are thinking about having babies, or you know, are having your second, third, fourth, I feel like it almost seems like it's a brand new, you know, it's a whole new experience, like you never experienced it before. I wish you guys the best of luck. You guys are gonna do fantastic. You guys are gonna be perfectly fine. Don't worry about all this horror stories you hear. There's more success stories than there are horror stories. You just read about the horror stories more because people write about them.